Larry, we can barely hear you.
Okay, maybe I can talk louder. So this is the battery that's 48 volts and 14 amp hours. Can you hear me?
Yeah, that's better.
So it can come off for handling it or to charge it. The charge port's on the left side. This is made to fold. Has a release down here that allows it to fold around like this. You can see how it's going to fold there. And and then the handlebars fold down like this. I was hoping it would fold and go into my Model 3, but because it's not a hatchback and got a fairly narrow opening, I can't take advantage of the folding here, but I can to haul it. I can fold that down and I take the battery out just to make it a little easier to handle, and I can slide it into my Model 3. Hook it up.
So the audio dropped there for a second, Larry.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yeah.
All right, now so it has. Can you show the display here? So I've driven it 85 miles, and then you can switch it to a trip meter, shows the battery level, and then you have a pedal assist, which you can take it up to 5. I find that it's better to stay at a low level, and then over here on the right is the throttle. It has a 750 motor, which is pretty big for a bicycle, about a horsepower, and it's pretty. It'll take you up a pretty good hill. It's supposed to be able to go about 20 miles on electric, then up to 50 or 60 with pedal assist. And
how about your driveway?
what's that?
Your driveway,
Can you hear me?
Larry. How's it doing your driveway?
Well, the main driveway I have to use. I have to pedal like in it has 7 speeds, and so I'm put it down in second gear, and I need to assist it up to there. But now the road on up the hill, it'll carry me all the way up there without any problem.
So what you said the range was about 20 miles. Is that with pedal assist, or if you
Is rated for 20 miles.
all electric? Okay.
It'll the speed will take you up to 20 miles an hour basically, and then it just cuts off. It's speed limited to 20 miles an hour. If you're going faster than that, you got to either be going downhill or pedal hard. It has tires, which makes it good. It has some shocks on the front, an LED light. This and back here for the back, this is the only extras I got was this frame, and this it starts at $14.99, and by the time I paid taxes and got the basket and the frame support there, it was a little over $1,600. But it's fun to ride, and I have knee problems, so I can get exercise and not hurt my knees too bad. So.
All right. Awesome.
All right. If we switch over to our mowing, I want to first show you this this is a mower I've been using since 2010. And I was just moved to this house 2 years ago. So prior to that, pretty small yard. So this was has two 12-volt batteries and 21-inch self-propelled. So I used that for about 7 or 8 years. I have two sets of these batteries, and they're still there. I've got them dated to 2012 and 2015 for my two sets of batteries, and I do a lot of trimming around here. One thing is significant. I want to the newer lawnmowers, electric lawnmowers, are pretty quiet. But I'm only showing that to demonstrate that on this new riding mower I got, it's 48 volt. It's got 4 75 batteries. You can get it for with 100 amp hour, and even now they even have a 50 amp hour for smaller yards. This was rated. They rated at 2 acres, but I don't recommend it for 2 acres, especially on the hills I have here. Lead acid batteries will last a long time if you only discharge them about half. And I'm with here, it's about half the battery to mow my lawn. So it is Ryobi. It's sold through Home Depot, but not. They don't have it in the stores. So it was $29.99 when I got this one. They're now $27.99, and a couple of hundred more for the 100 amp hour. But looking at the controls here, it has a slot for a phone and a USB port for charging a phone. That turns it on. It's got a battery meter, level meter. It's got headlights. Starts and this allows it to mow in reverse. And then it has a cruise control, which is pretty amazing. You can set it for any speed, and it'll just maintain that uphill and downhill. It'll go 8 miles an hour without the blade running, but with the blade running, it's limited to 5 miles an hour. But I don't know what it's got. Got the deck level here. It's a 36-inch cut, and I'm going to start it up here just so you hear how loud it is. One thing that's nice about an electric mower is being quiet, but the blade on this one is so fast that it's about as noisy as a gas one, I think. So. Starting here for some reason.
The curse of the demo. There it is.
I didn't get the reverse mode, so it shut down on me. Not sure what else I need to tell you. It has a parking brake, and it's pretty fun to use. I'm on my 3rd season with it. Questions? Here's a kind of a neat thing I have. It allows me to go through doorways and stuff, parking the thing inside, and then I put it down like this. But if I come close to something, want to go close to something, I can pull it up like that while I'm mowing. Works pretty good. Not much else to tell you.
All right. Anybody got any questions? I think Larry covered it pretty well.
What's the cost to mow your lawn? compared to-
Okay, take 12 to 18 cents to recharge my battery before I mow the lawn.
I'll say the one thing that I've really enjoyed about my electric mower is, especially in the spring, you don't have to fight with it to get it to start. You don't have to worry about, treating the fuel over the winter and all that stuff. Weed eaters and lawnmowers never seem to want to start first thing in the spring, and so you don't have to worry about any of that stuff. You just slap the battery in it and go.
And I will second that because I have a Black & Decker that I've had for roughly 7 or 8 years and had a plug-in one before that. And I'm trying to think if I don't think I had. The Black & Decker has removable batteries. I used to have 2, but the charger over the winter one time failed and that battery pack died. And I think I will not get a replacement for that, but wait, now they've got lithium ion ones, which are just super. We bought one for our neighborhood pool and the reviews were mixed. People that were used to gas engine ones, this is terrible. But the people who actually used it loved it because it had a lot of power, get right through tall grass and everything. So I like my electric mower. And
One other thing, I did see that there was a lithium-ion battery riding mower out there, and it's also sold through Home Depot. It's not Ryobi, I don't think, but it has a 70 volt battery, 17 amp hour, and 30-inch cut.
Yeah, mine, the one I'm currently using is a big bulky 36 volt lead acid, has 3 little 12 volts in there. And Eric actually took the one that had failed apart and he said, well, I can substitute out lithium ions for these and everything. I said, well, let's just see how much longer the one that I've got. It just makes it so that if the grass is fairly tall, I have to charge it and finish the yard later after a fairly lengthy time of charging. Whereas the lithium ion that we got for the neighborhood pool, I'm no longer on the board, charges in roughly a half hour, 45 minutes. So a lot less time. Larry, thanks so much for the review.
You're welcome.
Hey, I got you all beat. I live in a condo and my user fees pay for mowing my grass and trimming the hedges and all that stuff. So don't have to worry with any of that.
Yeah.
Larry mentioned that there was another mower. I ran out to the Home Depot site. It looks like it might be a Cub Cadet, 56 volt lithium ion. So you're starting to see some more models out there. There's the Ryobi, which has been out for a while, and then you're seeing some of these other newer ones. So it's great that we're going to have more choices. Maybe John Deere and some of the others will start making some of these. All right.
I think it was 7 volt amp
My
hours.
neighbors have mentioned to me a couple of times they're very pleased that I had such a
Plastic.
quiet lawnmower. They don't have
But you
to.
can use a higher percentage in with the lead acid.
So Marty, you were saying your neighbors appreciate the quietness of your mower?
Yeah, a couple of them have mentioned that. Wow, it's hard to. I don't even hear you when you're mowing. It's great.
All right. Well, any other questions for Larry before we move on?
I'm losing audio here.
All right. Well, Marty, you want to show us a couple things about EV Trip Planner? You've done some long trips, so you've probably ran some plans.
Yeah, let's see. Let me call it up.
All right.
How do I
And then
share my screen, by the
there
way?
should be a green button in the app, the application you're running at the bottom in the middle says share.
Okay. Sure. Okay. If I press that.
Press that, and then you got to choose, like if you got multiple monitors, you got to choose what you want to share.
Okay, let's see.
Or you can just share a single application window if you don't want to share a monitor.
Okay, how about we share this? Here. It's called EV Trip Planner. Can you see my screen?
No, I'm not seeing anything yet.
It's not up there?
No.
Okay, let's see. Okay.
Do the others have to unshare their screen in order?
There you go. How about
Well,
now?
no one's sharing anything right now.
Can you see me now?
No, I don't see your screen share.
Huh. I clicked on share.
Then select the screen or application, and then there's probably like a share button or something you have to click another time.
Yeah. Geez, I don't see it. I don't see my.
If Marty's seeing himself, maybe he is sharing his screens. I've had this problem at school when I hit share screen, and all it showed is what my camera was doing, because that's what I was looking at. You had to get out of Ring Central and click into the app you want to show.
If you share your desktop, it's whatever's on your desktop. So if you're sharing your video, then you would see that.
Okay, I saw share, and it's lit. It's turned green. I click on it, and it shows all the applications that are open.
Here, let me.
Okay, okay. If I click share screen,
You may want to share the app instead of the screen.
Share screen. I clicked on share. Okay.
Well, if it's not working, Marty, you could probably just kind of maybe describe it and what you found the benefits of it.
Okay, so they basically.
And is it a website or an app?
It's a website. I think there's an app as well, but I use the website when that's available. Let's see. There's several different options when you go to the main page. I do not have an account with them. I just, but you don't have to have an account to use the planner. The planner has, you can enter, can you see my screen now?
Yes.
Well, I just shared a screen showing the EV Trip Planner.
Okay. Well, if you click over there on Route Energy Planner. All right. So you can enter an A and B. You can enter your destination. You can also put interim places in. Okay, there we go. And this is showing you where it thinks you need to, and what you've got there is a model 6. You can go down here. It's got all these different models with different tires on it. It basically has whatever it has data for, and people have to share their data with, and then they have to collect several pieces of data to know how good it is. So they've got the Nissan Leaf in there. They've got a couple other cars in there, but they don't have a lot. They don't have the Bolt because no one's shared enough data with them. And then you can enter a trip multiplier. You can enter your cabin temperature, external temperature, so it'll take in air conditioning. Your payload, normally I have 500 pounds. Wind speed, because wind obviously slows you down. You can enter. You really don't want 100% initial charge, 90%, and it'll select the superchargers you need to get to where you're going. And then you hit route to superchargers, and you can add additional here you go, as additional route, saying that this is routing you down through Virginia now. I don't know why it did that, but it did. And so you can add in waypoints. Say, oh, geez, I want to stop at such and such. So you can add that in. You can down here and add a waypoint. You can subtract waypoints, on and on and on. And then if you go over to these other tables, it'll give you a detailed history of the turn-by-turn list, like there.
Oh, well, you gotta be logged in. It looks like for
Five
some of
steps.
these. Oh, there we go.
There you go. That gives you a detailed history about how long you need to charge each supercharger. And then the return along the way using Google Maps shows you every turn. Then you can page down through that and get everything. And up here, there's a little slider so that you eliminate a bunch of the turns. You can move it over so any segments less than 2 miles. Well, it's real good at predicting. Do I need to stop this supercharger? Can I skip it? You can actually take superchargers out and say, don't stop at this one. It'll find you another route. On and on and on. That's pretty useful.
So, Marty, how would you compare this to, say, just what's in the car?
Well, the great advantage to this over what's in the car is that you can add waypoints. And you can't add waypoints in the car. So in the car, you have to put the waypoint in, calculate that route, and then put the next one in. It's a much more takes a lot longer in the car to do the planning than it does with this thing. So, before the trip, I just did this and wrote down all the superchargers. And like on the trip to Texas, there were actually, do I want to cut through the country and skip this one supercharger and issues like that. And that was pretty easy to figure out with the trip planner. Like on our drive to Texas, we actually stopped going on interstates, and I drove all through eastern Texas, which was kind of interesting. I'd read a lot about that country and see what it actually looked like. Even Grant wrote about it during the Mexican-American War. He wrote about what through Texas was to try to trace through back in the 1840s. So that was a good it was a good tool, and never left us with the lack of confidence that we're going to get between our superchargers. And,
Okay.
it even tells you, this one you need to stop at for 17 minutes, or this one you need to stop at for 20 minutes. So.
And then what we do is when we've got this, or like a better route planner route for a long distance, shows all the superchargers we want to stop at, is we'll just use the car and tell it to go to the next supercharger that it's directing us to, that the route planner is, because then once we get close to the supercharger, of course, as you all know, it'll start conditioning the battery to charge faster.
Yeah. And all these things, they need for non-Teslas, they need people to collect data on the performance of their car, and then provide that to the owner of this website, so they have enough data to they can predict the performance for those brands of cars too. And apparently, non-Tesla drivers haven't been using EV trip planner. I don't know about a better route planner. If
That's what I'm showing now. I know Better Route Planner does have a lot more coverage of different EVs. So like, here's the models that they've got information on. Everything from Tesla down through a lot of these European brands.
I think a better route planner has a better marketing, and more people use it.
Right, so if we come here and we can select Chevrolet, and then we can select either the Spark or the Bolt.
I have a question. Is there any benefit can you do this on your iPad and then take that in the car with you plugged into your USB and kind of, instead of having to write down all the stops, can you just look at it as you're driving, having your display in front of you in the car, and then in the seat next to you, or your wife's holding on to the iPad with the EV trip planner? Have you ever done it that way?
Absolutely, yes.
You can also print it out, understand? Or Larry was saying something about he would copy it from the screen and load it into a spreadsheet.
Yeah.
And a Better Route Planner has an app too. So I mean, I've run it on my phone. You can put it on a phone or a tablet or whatever.
Yeah. But it's good to start out when you're at home planning it, because we did a long 2,000-mile trip all the way up to, well, first over to Washington, then Philadelphia, Boston, to Terre Haute to look at schools for Eric, and then to Wisconsin, which we've done many times going to Wisconsin, and the return was just straight back to here. So we knew that route pretty well. But I used Google Maps to plan the route, and then turned over to Better Route Planner to try and plan where we were going to stop. And of course, you adapt a little bit because you find destination chargers along the way. But with having Eric in the back seat, monitoring things, and he'd tell Sue, bring up the energy consumption on the Model 3 and do adjustments and everything. And all I was pretty much there to keep driving and have them monitor things. It was very convenient.
Well, and you can adjust, since you can choose your models, and like it has a reference consumption here, so you could adjust that if you know your vehicle is worse or better because maybe you've added some aftermarket, I don't know, body kit or something to it, or you've got different tires on it that makes it a little thirstier. You could adjust some of these factors. But just like the other one, EV Trip Planner, you can change your departure, state of charge.
Can you put waypoints in?
Yeah, you can add multiple waypoints in a Better Route Planner.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I liked, where was that? Oh yeah, charger arrival. So you can set like, what do you want at the interim superchargers or chargers? Like, what do you want how close do you want to run it? How much buffer do you want to leave? But also, when you arrive at your destination, how much charge do you want to arrive with? And I found that, because you may arrive somewhere like to meet someone, but you need some charge to kind of run around and do some things once you get there. So you can set that kind of stuff up. And you can change the speed, reference speed, road conditions, all that stuff, headwinds, temperatures. And so like I've used this crossing, you can see this route that's in here. This was the last time I used it. I was going from Morgantown home across 68 to Martinsburg, and it was very cold. It was in the 20s, and the wind was blowing, and it was snowing, and it was kind of nasty conditions. So I just wanted to kind of see what it would be like. And this thing was actually pretty accurate once you plugged in the temperature and some wind and that kind of stuff. It told me what I would arrive with the battery. So once you plug all this stuff in, you click the route button, and it'll give you your information, and it tells you where you'll arrive and how much battery percentage it estimates you'll have left. Like,
well, I understand this one that their route planner also does the destination charger, shows you where those are. So you can,
yeah, I think you can do those as well.
Yeah, route to a destination charger if you want.
But I do like a Better Route Planner in that it's very open to different EVs. So no matter what EV you have, you can use a Better Route Planner, especially if you're traveling like in winter conditions where things might be a little questionable and you want to make sure things are looking good. And this takes into account those things like temperature and wind. to give you a better estimate. All right. So anyway, betterrouteplanner.com and evtripplanner.com are a couple websites you can take a look at. I have used the app for a Better Route Planner on my phone, and it sounds like, Marty, you said there's also an app for Trip Planner.
Yeah, I think there is.
So for all of you guys who do some longer trips in your EVs, something you might want to take a look at.
Yeah, I think with either one of these tools, you will not end up pushing your car the last 100 feet to the supercharger.
All right. Any
One of
other
the
thoughts or
problems is,
questions?
for us, since there's not multiple chargers someplace, if you pull into where you think there's, one or two deep and they're both broken, you could really be screwed. The next nearest one's going to be 50 miles and you've only got 20, and if you've been lucky to find a level 2, AC level 2, and sit for 2 hours, then maybe you can get to it. But that's the big problem, is whether or not they're going to be working. Does either of these apps get feedback from the individual stations as to how many plugs they have working?
I mean, well, one, those stations would have to be networked to get real-time information, and generally, a lot of those are not networked, so you don't have real-time information. I mean, I know that Tesla stuff does.
Many options, and so you're kind of stuck. The route planners don't help much because you only have one way you can go.
Well, you have two ways to garner that kind of information. If you're in a Tesla, it shows up on your screen.
Right.
Because they're all networked in, and it tells you how many are available, if some of them are blocked or whatever. And then plug share information, which is hit or miss. Depends on who put in information and when they put it in.
Yeah, we're going to Baltimore next month, and I called a motel in Frederick that has plugs, and the last one on PlugShare was November that they used it, and the lady said, "Oh no, there are people using it every single day, but they just don't mark it up on PlugShare." So the last one where someone logged in or checked in was in November of last year.
Well, that's why I'd urge everybody to, every time you plug in, to go on, especially to a destination charger, go on and list what you're charging and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, definitely. We need to be leaving feedback on things like PlugShare. So if there is something wrong with a charger, it's getting noticed, and you're warning others before they count on it. But yeah, good point, Rick. That is sort of until we get more networked chargers, and other folks have the capabilities like sort of Tesla does with the supercharger, so you can see what's in service and what's not, or even how busy it is, because that's the other thing. You could show up and everything's busy, and you might be waiting for a while.
But the hotel has a vested interest in your knowing that their charger works, and I would think even if they just went out once a week and tested them, and then put a little note on PlugShare, said they work as of May the 17th, both plugs work, and they can do that without having to even have an electric. Well, they need an electric vehicle or someone to plug in and give it a try.
Yeah,
it's a shared responsibility of the people who own the charger and the people who use the charger.
I have called hotels to say, hey, is this charger? It shows that you have it. Is it actually there? Is it working? Is it on?
Yeah, I told the lady I'd call back 2 days before and make sure it's working, or else I'm not going to stay there.
Yeah.
No, I've done the same thing. On our trip to Texas, when we started off, we stayed at a little resort place in southern Ohio, and it was 100 miles from anywhere. If that place didn't work, we were going to be stuck for a while. And I called them, and yeah, it works. And they were participants in that Tesla program that put plugs everywhere, and that turned out to be a really nice place. It was about 90 miles from Cincinnati.
I had to pull up Electrify America just to see if there was any changes that we weren't aware of. No, doesn't look like it.
I just made a trip to Greenbrier County a couple of weeks ago and came back through by Hawk's Nest and plugged in. And I wish I'd had looked at the plug share comments, because I didn't look till after I got home, but there was a recent comment that said the level 2 charger was not working. If I'd have thought of it, I'd have just plugged into everything there just to see that they were all working.
Yeah, next time I go up to Fayette County, I'll drop by there and test them out.
So you okay there, Larry?
Yeah. Slippery phone there.
Yep.
I got a new phone and I got a case coming, but hard to hold on to.
All right. Any other comments, questions about the
I had
EV
a
trip
question.
planning and chargers?
I had a question for the Tesla owners. There was a video on the Bolt forum about a woman with a Nissan Leaf who came up to a destination charger, Clipper Creek, and just unplugged the Tesla next to her and plugged herself in. And the comment was, I thought they locked to your car. Well, I've never seen a level 2 charger that locked to your car. You can put a little TSA lock on it, but other than that, are you aware of any? Because they said they thought Tesla locked the plug to the vehicle and you can't unplug it until you fully charge. Is that true?
I think the issue is, because that's my home setup is like this. The issue is, to use those level 2 J plugs, you have to have an adapter, and the adapter can be locked into the plug of the car, into the port of the car, so you can't pull the adapter out, but you can always unplug the J plug from the adapter and just leave the adapter plugged into the car. Now, I think they do make they do have the little holes on the most J plugs. They've got the little holes where you could put like a lock so that you couldn't do that.
Yeah, I lock my Tesla tap every time I use it, because who wants a $350? And if I take my own level 1, like sometimes we stop at a motel and they say, sure, just plug into you'll get 50 miles overnight. You might as well get it. They're giving it to you free, but it's my EVSE, so I lock that. But I've never locked a commercial plug to my vehicle.
Yeah, there's a little adapter you can that'll lock the J plug to your Tesla to J plug adapter. So there's an adapter for the adapter. They're about $100. But
Yeah,
I looked at it and said,
I bet.
some malfunction with that. I'm stuck there until I go get a pair of bolt cutters and cut it up. So
Yeah, and the other thing is that if you locked it such that someone can't unplug you, you may get your car vandalized if they think they've got the rights to come up next to you and, unplug you and everything. I'd rather they unplug and I don't get as much charge. And of course, I'll know immediately on my phone that my car's been unplugged and I can go check out what's going on. But I don't want the car vandalized. But yeah, Robert, the adapter should stay with the car, the Tesla adapter.
And then also in that video that you're referencing, Rick, I believe, because I think I've seen it, it was the Sentry mode video from the Tesla itself. So you've got video record of who came up beside of your car and did what.
Yeah, I think that was the woman with the tattoos.
Yeah. Yeah, that's that gets back to the whole charging etiquette thing. I mean, on the Tesla side, we don't always know the whole story, but like if that Tesla had been parked there for a day and it was hogging the spot and not moving, and somebody could be a little upset that this Tesla, it seems like it's hogging the spot even after it's fully charged.
Yeah, I was at Stonewall once before I bought the Tesla tap, and the only J plug was blocked, and the car, we could tell, was completely charged. So we went into the desk and they said, well, of course we can't tell you who it is. They called and there was no answer in the room. They said, we'll just come out and unplug it and you plug in, and then when we're done, we'll plug him back in, because he was staying for 3 days. He just left it there. We blocking everybody else. But Stonewall was very nice about coming out, making sure we didn't vandalize the car. And we looked up where it was a C-Max, and we could tell it was fully charged.
Yeah, and that's back to the etiquette thing. I mean, if you do have an EV and you plug it in, great. But when it's done charging, or if you've left it overnight charging, move it in the morning. And
I've actually got some cards that you can hang on the plug. I've never done it. carry them with me in the car. You can hang it on the plug and say, I'll be done, and you can use a grease pen and say, I'll be done charging at 10 a.m. and you can unplug after then.
Yeah, they have some dashboard frisbees you can buy and then mark with an erasable marker what time you plugged in, what time you estimate to be done, and here's how to contact me. I just have a sheet I printed up on the computer with my phone. Text me if you need it, and I'm still plugged in.
Yeah.
All right,
Well,
guys.
yeah, adequate's pretty important.
Yes, definitely.
So interestingly, we've never heard anything from the letter we sent in, Robert, the letter you sent.
Other than the standard, governor's office response letter, no, we haven't received anything. And then Rick separately wrote a letter to the Department of Transportation secretary, and Rick did get a response, but it was, again, kind of a standard response, and they were referencing the document that's on the site, the draft final, whatever it is, plan. I don't know where they get that language, draft final.
Yeah.
But then Kelly kind of assured us that there had been some discussions behind the scenes where they're going to be able to use more money than what that document states. Who knows? And Marty, I did send a letter to, or an email to the other guy. What's his name? Perry.
Okay.
So I followed up with him this week. I haven't heard anything back from him either.
Robert, I just got a text from John Averill. There's another one come in. He had been trying for 40 minutes to get to join in, but I told him to look for your email and scroll way down and look for the link. He just got another one. It says tried meeting ID on 2 devices with the software. I get an error message, he said.
Well, I'm not sure what's going on with that, but I don't know. Sometimes with these Zoom and Ring Central and all these things, they get kind of busy, and sometimes it is hard to get through. But the meeting's not locked or preventing anyone from joining.
No, left send him.
Yeah, I have an icon on my desktop, and rather than go to the email, I just clicked on that, and it said join the meeting, and it was ours. But in Ring Central, this is the only meeting I go to through Ring Central. So
Right.
I guess if I leave that on my desktop, I just click it at 10 o'clock, and I don't have to go back and find a code at all.
Yeah, the code doesn't change. It's the same meeting ID. I mean, unless we need to change it in the future.
Gotcha.
Well, Larry, give John our apologies, but I am trying to record this so we can make it available after this.
Did he contact you? He has done some documentaries on Civil War, and he has a passing through zone documentary, and he had talked about the possibility of doing a documentary on West Virginians and EVs.
That would be awesome.
Yeah, that'd be great. Tell him we're all in favor of it.
In my last communication with him, he had said he might try to talk to you about it, and I said I told him it was a good idea. He says because I think he's a veteran or something, he can do it without, it doesn't cost him anything to do the documentaries. And he gave me a copy of these 3 documentaries.
I'm afraid, Larry, I have not watched the ones you sent to me yet. I will.
I'll show you the covers here of the documentaries. There's Averill's Raiders, and there's Passing Through Sandstone, and Gift from a Yankee. So I thought he did a good job on them.
All right. Well, definitely, we'd love to talk to him and see if we could work something up.
Yeah, I'll encourage him every time. My background with him is when we had our meeting, he was in there, and because Sandstone is pretty close to where I grew up, Um, he and had a grandson that was just upset.
Jimmy?
So I went to Greenberg
Oh,
and gave him and his grandson a ride in the car, and had a really good visit with him.
Well, that's great, and I'll reach out to him after this after the call and apologize that he couldn't get in, and then I'll send him the link to the recording, and then let him know if he wants to talk about a documentary stuff. That would be great. We'd love to hear more about it.
And Robert, you may want to work with him to see if he was hitting the right button or what his equipment is as far as
Yeah.
getting into the call.
Yeah, I'll see if we can figure that out. As I know he was on the last one. So I'm
know.
not sure what's going on.
Something may have changed.
All right, guys. Well, we're coming up on 11. And Scott, I know you had some Model 3 things you wanted to talk about. I've got, some Model 3 splash guard stuff I can show you guys if you're interested in seeing that. But before we kind of wrap up, do want to follow back on Marty brought up the letter we sent to the governor. Please do, if you haven't already, put together a letter, send that to the governor's office, encouraging them to use the Volkswagen settlement funds to install the DC fast charging. Put it in your own words about how important it is to you and friends and family and people visiting West Virginia. So that would be great. And then also, I've sent out a couple emails about the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission, FERC, and that's solar net metering challenge that's happening there. And if you haven't taken a look at that and clicked on the link and submitted something to the governor, it's all automated. You don't have to really do much. You can just click the link and it generates a letter to your representatives and governor about that case. Because we do want to, if they would get rid of solar net metering in West Virginia, that would be a huge blow to solar. And it wouldn't just be West Virginia, this would be the entire nation is what it would be affecting. And it's also a state's rights issue. States should be able to decide what policies they want to pursue with renewable energy like solar. So just a couple reminders on those things.
It's not necessarily a topic for today, but the letter that I got back from Bird White was that they're going to put the stations at the welcome centers, and that's all at the periphery. There's nothing in the middle. And I wonder if we don't have to talk about it today, but maybe soon, we need to have some efforts to getting, if it's not going to be the state, if it's not going to be the Volkswagen settlement money, who's going to put just one in the center of the state, either at Elkins or Flatwoods or something, so people can go from the ones at the periphery through the state. So I wrote a letter to GoMart. I think I sent a copy to Robert, asking them again if they wanted to begin to make that transition of having one charger at every GoMart. And again, they didn't respond. But we need to contact some people, but we can't promise that they're going to make a profit on it. I don't know how Columbus, Gateway, Easton Gateway they still give it away for free, level 3, because you spend the money at the restaurant. But I just don't know at Flatwoods or wherever else it would be, where can we encourage someone to privately to put in a level 3, and it's $150,000, they're never going to do it, but at 50 they might have. So I guess a lot of that's trenching, if we can help them not have to trench a lot. But anyway, let's leave that on the agenda to talk about sometime soon at our business meeting.
Yes, we can do that. And we're talking about writing letters to the governor and the DOT secretary and those our representatives, and we can certainly keep pursuing that, but also writing letters to the larger chains like GoMart and Sheetz, and up in this area, Rocks, about having some type of charging infrastructure available. I certainly think that's something we could pursue. Also, sort of a letter writing campaign to help encourage that. And I know there's been more efforts on that in Europe and some of the chains over there, like BP. So there might be, maybe we could reference some, cases in other areas, geographies where it might make sense, or maybe they could reach out to home offices and hear more about it. But yeah, thanks, Rick. Yeah, we can certainly leave that on the agenda.
The Shell Oil said they were going to make a commitment to it, so maybe that'd be a step. I'll take it on myself to find Shell Oil stations and see if I can get an address to send an email and say, are you interested in putting in 2 or 3 across the state of West Virginia, and we can help you do it at the least expensive cost by knowing some of the parameters.
Yeah, I wasn't aware Shell was located in West Virginia. They don't have any retail
Stations.
stores.
Okay. Thanks.
But one follow-up on that topic, the note that I sent to Perry McCutcheon at DOT, I did bring that up. That it was our understanding that the welcome centers were the first priority, but that we would, and I pointed out why some of the welcome centers wouldn't make sense as first priority. Like the big example, easy example is the one right down the road from me. There's a welcome center on 81. So it's like, but that's right between Winchester and Hagerstown. And you've got multiple options in Winchester and Hagerstown. Why would you put one right there at that welcome center when Winchester and Hagerstown are only 50 miles apart? It doesn't really make any sense. The I-68 one, 68 coming into West Virginia, it's only for westbound traffic. And if you only go 30 miles further, then you can drop one at the intersection of 79 and 68 and serve a lot more folks.
Yeah,
So,
and Whiteville has got a stations there, so do you really need it at Princeton or Bluefield?
Right.
You probably don't.
you need it more like in Beckley, so you can serve that 64, 77 population.
We've had our position and made it clear for
Yeah.
years that we need them at the major interstate intersections. We've made that clear again and again and again.
Yeah, and they ignored
The
it.
government isn't listening.
Well, I think they're more interested in handing out pamphlets at the welcome centers than making them useful to EV drivers.
Yeah.
Well, part of the restriction might be, and as I don't know all the details, but that funding, and Kelly mentioned something like this, that basically it could not be on private property. It had to be on state-owned property. So like the welcome centers or a state office, like a DMV,
Or Tamarack.
that Tamarack's an easy one though. No excuse for that one. Now,
Well, I thought Tamarack was privately owned. I thought it was not owned by the state. Didn't we
No.
already look into that and find it was private?
No, Tamarack's a state enterprise.
So there could be some challenges, but it seems like that could be worked on. The other thing I mentioned in the letter to Perry, Marty, was your comment about could there be a way to work with Electrify America with this money instead of the state trying to go it on its own, which from my perspective, working at the state for many years, is always a problem, especially when it comes to procurement and when it comes to maintenance, especially over time. Administrations change, priorities change, maintenance and support of these things goes out the window. And you have to rebid maintenance contracts every couple of years. The stuff gets forgotten, it gets broken, no one's paying attention to it, it'll be a mess. And even if you get it installed in a few years, it probably won't be working. So if you could work with a company like Electrify America, who already has the experience building and installing them, and they have a way to charge for the services easily and to support and maintain them. So if there was a way to do that, that would make a lot of sense. So if it makes a lot of sense, that means we probably can't do it.
Gotta go, another commitment.
Hey, thank you, Jim. Good
Thanks,
to see you
Jim, for
again.
joining.
So I'm going to get out of here. So you all have a good day. We'll talk to you.
Okay.
All right, Larry.
I'm going to go too. Thanks.
All right, Marty. All right, well, we got a few left.
Maybe.
Scott, I think you had a question about
Yeah, the main question is, where have you bought the cabin air filters for the Model 3s? If you changed it yourself, how difficult was it? And did you opt for a HEPA, which Tesla does not sell? If you opt for a HEPA one, which brand did you buy and were you happy with it?
Well, I'm gonna have to say I haven't put enough miles on mine to change it, so
Yeah.
I don't have
So,
any experience with it.
I'll probably just have to talk to Marty and see what he's already dropped off, and I'll maybe send something out to the whole Google group.
Yeah,
and
that's a
just-
good idea. Send it out to the group.
Yeah. And we'll list what we found at a shop called, what was it, abstractocean.com. And so I'll put the word out to the group at large. So good lively discussion. So thank you very much, Robert, for putting these together.
Yeah, I'm glad we can keep doing these, and we've got some interest in folks participating. Did anybody else do splash guards on their Model 3?
No, but I'd be interested in seeing yours. And Eric is up and he's in the kitchen behind me. So
Let me share my screen.
share yours.
All right, well, that's a close-up of it. That's the front wheel. And what I did, you can see it a little bit there because I was really close and I had the flash on. I put some PPF film behind it so it's not making contact with the paint. But anyway, there's a sort of a further out shot on the front one.
I'm just seeing your
Oh, am I not sharing the right
car in front of your house.
screen? Okay, wait a second. I must have shared the wrong screen. Sorry.
That's okay. No problem. Thanks for responding.
There it is. Is that better?
Eric, you want to see this?
What is it?
His splash guard.
Yeah, so that's the front splash guard that I put on, and there's a close-up view of it. And behind it, I put some PPF film so it's not making contact with the paint. You can see the film a little bit better there because I've got the flash on the camera right down on top of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But on my car, especially driving in the winter, I was getting a lot of like chips on the front, right behind where that splash guard is, and right back here on the where the rear door is.
Yeah.
I had to use some touch-up paint on this edge because I was getting a few chips through here where things were hitting it and chipping it off. So I put a little bit of PPF film right here on this edge to prevent that. Of course, the car is dirty right here, so it's not the greatest shots, but and that's the same area. Once you're away from it a little bit and you don't have the flash on, you can't see the film really. It just kind of blends in.
Yeah.
And there's the rear splash guard.
And you said it's PPF film. Where did
Yeah.
you get the film?
I got it all from Amazon, the splash guards and the film. It's 3M PPF paint protection film. It's
Okay.
a clear paint protection film.
Okay.
And so I put it behind it just to protect those areas. But anyway, I said on my car, I was noticing, especially driving it in across 68 where you've got salt and cinders and everything on the road, and the car's throwing that up and hitting the bodywork, that we really need that kind of stuff on the car.
Yeah.
So anyway, they were really cheap. I mean, the splash guards, they're just black molded plastic, but they actually fit really well, and I think they look like they're made for the car. They are specifically made to clip into the fender well around the car and contour to it. And I think they were like $30 for the splash guard set, and then the PPF film was, I don't know, $12, $15, something like that. So probably for around $50.
Yeah.
For everything.
Can you send out the vendor that you actually got the splash guards from, if you're happy with them? That way we go with that one.
Yeah, now these were only available in black, although I have seen some company, and I don't recall the name, who was basically selling the same thing, but they would paint them to match the Tesla colors.
Okay.
So if you want a color keyed version, you could do that if you aren't bothered by the being black. And since my car was dark blue, I didn't really mind it. It kind of blends in anyway.
Yeah. And I think they're fine, and they're close enough to the tire. You think, okay, they're color coordinating with the tire.
Yeah, I'll go back to my Amazon cart and send out the actual brand that I ordered.
Okay.
All right. Anybody else have anything?
I was just going to close with a little humorous thing. I was talking about my electric lawnmower that I like, and we have our Sienna minivan in for a radiator change. Not too bad. It's 14 years old. But I was talking with a Firestone rep and said, well, when this car wears out, which may take a while with a Toyota, we've got a Cybertruck on order. We won't have to worry about this type of stuff of coolant leaks, although obviously there is a little coolant circle for the battery and the air conditioning and so forth. But Eric points out that the Model Y has got a heat pump.
Yep.
It's even more efficient. But there will be so many things I've had to worry about over the year and have a large maintenance file on each of our gas cars, even the hybrid ones. And it'd be nice when it gets really, really thin. Tire rotations and changing cabin air filters that we can do ourselves and everything. So people, that I talk with, when I tell them I've had essentially zero maintenance with the vehicle other than the typical rotations, it's like they look at me, yeah, it's really the case. So I'm trying to sell them as much as I can on going EV.
Have you guys have you done a alignment on yours yet?
Oh, the first thing we do when we get another car is we take it down to Firestone and buy a lifetime alignment agreement, and then it's free from then on to never have to pay for it again.
Which I did that as well. The Firestone up here won't work on it.
Yes.
I was wondering,
Well,
so would the Firestone in Charleston work on yours?
Oh, they're happy to. I've been customers of theirs, and they're intrigued with the car the first time, and I had to show the couple of the mechanics, okay, about the little hockey puck lifting pad things. And then now that's old hat, and they are used to using the little key card, they're real familiar. What I would suggest is that your Firestone call our Charleston one, and Charleston will probably, they've worked on several Teslas, not just Marty's and mine, but several others. And I think they're in with the plan because I think they're seeing that, hey, it's going to change to EVs, and if you want to stay, you better
To the garage.
work on them.
Yeah, that's. I mean, the Firestone up here will do the rotations, and I've talked to them about lifting it properly and all that. And actually, I even had a tire puncture, and they fixed the tire puncture. But when I asked about an alignment, they were like saying, no, the Teslas require special stuff for an alignment, and we can't do that. And, I thought that was a little odd.
Tell them to call Charleston, and Micah or Nathan, Devin, try and think of the other service advisors. Any of them will be happy to tell them about their experience with Marty's Model 3 and other Teslas.
I'm going to have to do that because the Firestone's pretty close, and I've always used Firestone when we lived in Charleston, and I kind of like their service, so I was really surprised that this one wouldn't do it.
Yeah. Yeah. I think you can get them to change, particularly if you emphasize the world is going to be in 10 or 20 years predominantly EVs.
I mean, more so up here even than Charleston, though. It's like, the closest service, you have to go over towards DC. Hagerstown is only 15 minutes away. There's a fair amount of, especially now, Model 3 owners in this area. It's like, and we don't have anywhere to go except back over to DC, near DC, to have service. So it's like, Firestone in Hagerstown, Maryland, you're very close. If you could do all this standard service, we can send all of the Tesla owners to you for all this routine stuff.
Yep. Point that out. Yep.
Yep.
Okay.
Guys, I got to go. So I'll see you next time. Okay.
All right, Bill.
Yep.
Thanks for joining.
That's fine. Thanks. I think we're finished. And
Yeah,
thank you.
we're done.
Robert.
Thanks, guys.
Go ahead and sign off.